Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in the Dragon Ball fanbase and really beyond that, there's this perception of Goku that he is a character that always spares his enemies. That no matter who he's up against, no matter how evil, he will always be able to ensure that they survive the fight because he's not fighting in order to kill or in order to destroy, but rather to better himself and always push himself past his limits as a martial artist. However, this perception is really more of a misconception. Because the fact is, Goku has killed plenty of enemies in the Dragon Ball franchise, even recently in the current storyline. So I'm going to be going through 5 examples of this when Goku killed his enemies. Before I begin, if you like my content, please make sure to leave a like, comment your own thoughts down below, subscribe if you're new here. I'm sure that you'll be able to enjoy even more content if you enjoy this one, and continue to share this video out so that more people can see it. Then in turn, I'll be able to make even more videos like this moving forward. But let's get into the video because this intro is way too long as it is. And let's begin with the example going back to the original Dragon Ball when Goku was a kid, and really his greatest body count of all, when he went to attack the Red Ribbon Army's headquarters and their compound. And we see this unfolding right in front of us. As Goku charges in and immediately kills somebody, as you can see right here, flying right through his ship and blowing him up. And unfortunately for him, the original English dub isn't there to save him with a parachute. But nonetheless, Goku keeps this up as he continues to kill everyone in his sight, really not sparing anyone who comes about trying to attack him, despite the fact that there were not really any threat for him. But at this point in Goku's storyline, he feels that anyone who's a bad guy, well, they don't exactly deserve to live, and we continue to see that happening right here as he's blowing them up left and right, leaving them for dead on the ground, and also tanking bullets even better than his adult self in Dragon Ball Super. Great consistency, guys. And this continues all the way until Goku gets up to fighting the big boss of the organization. Of course, he is actually betrayed and killed by Commander Black, as you could see right here, who Goku then ends up fighting at the end of the final climactic fight with this enemy right here, where he takes on a robot suit and he's doing his best to try and kill Goku, but doesn't exactly work out for him because Goku, well, he's having fun defeating his enemies at this point, even in very lethal ways, as he goes to deflect all of Black's attacks and then in turn flies right through his robot, blowing him up, and yeah, I don't see any parachute. Rest in peace. And that's just one of many examples of when Goku killed his enemies as a kid, because, of course, the next example comes during the fight against King Piccolo, after he had regained his youth, taken over the planet, and Goku went to the capital in order to fight and defeat him, so that Goku could not push himself to his limits or something like that he would do later in the franchise, but rather so he can get revenge and avenge his friends who were killed by King Piccolo. And so, King Piccolo is exploiting Goku's friendship right here, using Tien as a hostage, breaking Goku's limbs. However, come the end, he forgets to get rid of one of Goku's arms, which allows him to fire an attack right at the ground that propels him directly up into the sky. I guess this is the first one-handed Kamehameha, eat your heart out, Gohan. And what ends up happening, he flies directly at King Piccolo, puts every single thing that he has directly into his power right here, flies right at King Piccolo, and penetrates him. Pause. Going directly through his body and leaving him to explode because, it's the 1980s and things have to explode. Now, of course, King Piccolo would reincarnate himself into his son Piccolo Jr., but for anyone who's wondering why Goku, after he went through King Piccolo, that King Piccolo did not regenerate, well, I actually have a video you could see in the top right corner of this video in the cards or on my channel where I discuss that very question in depth. So check that out after this video is over. But our next example of Goku killing his enemies comes when Goku is an adult. More particularly in the original timeline and History of Trunks timeline of Dragon Ball Z. More particularly when Frieza and his father King Cold touch down on the Earth. Now, of course, in the original storyline that we see here, or the main timeline rather, because it isn't the original storyline, it's the ones that we saw on screen, what ended up happening? Future Trunks, Mirai Torankusu, showed up and killed King Cold and Frieza in the reverse order, chopping up Frieza, vaporizing what's left over, and then putting an end to King Cold because he didn't transform and also was too stupid to realize that Trunks didn't kill him because of a sword, which obviously would do nothing to Frieza if it was wielded by somebody who was weak. So yeah, he killed him, blew him up too, but in the original version of the story, basically something else happened, which is that Goku showed up and killed the two of them in what is perhaps the greatest unseen fight in the entire Dragon Ball story, which I also discussed in depth in this video. You can see the thumbnail for on your screen, and of course in the top right corner in the cards, as well as down below in the description and on my channel. And the reason why we know that Goku did this, for anyone who thinks that this might be some kind of fan fiction, is because first off, he's the only one who could have done this because no one else was anywhere near as powerful enough to do that, despite there being a fan theory that Vegeta becoming a Super Saiyan would have been able to allow him to kill King Cold or something, I don't know. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that Goku defeated them, and we know this even in the story that we saw because Goku tells Trunks, as we could see right here, that he had sensed Frieza and King Cold coming to the planet, and he was right about to make his move and defeat them when he sensed Trunks. And so Trunks says, you still had 3 hours until your arrival, you couldn't have made it. And then Goku says, well, maybe, but I learned a new skill, which is teleportation, which is known as Shunkan Ito in Japanese, or the instantaneous movement, and of course, the instant transmission in the English dub of Dragon Ball Z and Kai, I believe. So the thing is that Trunks here actually did what he says right here, changing history for no reason, because Goku was the one who was supposed to kill King Cold and Frieza, and Trunks had no reason to interfere at all. So again, like I said before, that is something I went in depth about, but that's the other time that we're going to talk about before the next ones, that Goku killed his enemies, this time finally putting an end to Frieza, and of course, an end to his father as well. Now the next time is in the Cell Saga. During the final climactic fight that saw the end of the arc, Goku charged up his instant transmission Kamehameha, fired, and vaporized Cell's head, which in turn killed the main villain, because of course Cell said that there's a small cluster of cells in his head that makes up his core, and if that cluster isn't destroyed, then his body can go on regenerating even if only microscopic pieces remain. Which means that clearly Goku killed him, and that was the end of the arc. Yep. That makes total sense. I'm really glad that that happened. You know, Goku fans really loved the end of that arc because nobody else stepped in who was stronger than Goku and defeated the main villain, and Goku definitely didn't die, only come back in the next arc. Nope, not at all. Oh wait. So the next actual time that Goku killed his enemies came down to the start of the Buu Saga. Well, a little bit of distance in there, but nonetheless, this is when Goku went up against Babdi's minion Yakon, the evil beast from the Darkness planet. And what ended up happening? Well, Goku was fighting against Yakon, and he was actually a little bit outmatched in just his base form. And when Babdi brought them to this planet right here that we could see, the Darkness planet, nobody was able to see anything, but Goku decided to turn on the lights by becoming a Super Saiyan so that he would be able to see. But unfortunately for him, Yakon was able to devour energy, particularly light energy. So he was able to literally drain Goku out of his Super Saiyan form. Now you would think that this would have made it really difficult for Goku to win, but it's actually super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Because Goku used a plan where he became a Super Saiyan and purposely allowed Yakon to continue to absorb way too much of his energy, bloating and growing bigger and bigger and bigger, just like what happened when Kuwabara fought against Byakko in Yu Yu Hakusho. And Goku actually became a Super Saiyan 2 at the last instant, which caused so much energy to fire into Yakon instantaneously that it blew him up in sort of graphic fashion. You know, you do see an eyeball. It is like Drum, except, you know, everything blew up except for his eyeball in this case. But nonetheless, what ended up happening, Goku purposely killed his enemy. Oh, there's a little bit more debris right there. And, you know, a lot of people have said, well, actually, Goku wasn't trying to kill him. He just, you know, overloaded him because he thought he would live. No, he didn't. So the fact of the matter is that Goku definitely went out of his way to kill his enemy here. I mean, maybe he could have just, like, flown behind Yakon and hit him one time to knock him down. But obviously Goku didn't care about monster lives. Monster lives matter, Goku, you should know, because he used to turn to King Kong. But that is another time that Goku killed his enemies. And let's get into the final time I'm going to be talking about here today, which I'm sure you guys know because it's already in the thumbnail, which is during the final fight of the Buu saga before we get to the prologue 10 years later, in which Goku was facing off against Kid Buu, who was in the midst of fighting also against Vegeta, Mr. Satan, the other Buu, and also, Goku is charging up his Spirit Bomb, or Genki Dama, as we could see right here. Goku is finally able to get enough energy, and then he casts it down at Kid Buu, and as you can see right here when he goes to do this, he literally says, "Now Buu, you die," which clearly means that he wasn't trying to kill Buu at all, and he was holding back, and he really wanted to spare him now, doesn't it? But unfortunately for Goku, it didn't really work out that way as he was expecting at first, because, as we found out, Goku did not have the power to unleash the attack against Buu, and thus as a result, Buu was able to push back and resist this power that Goku had on display because he couldn't detonate the bomb. But unfortunately for Buu, there was still a wish left on the Namekian Dragon Balls, and so they used them in order to wish back Goku's energy, and then, guess what? He was able to overpower Buu with this final attack, and he says that he hopes that Buu comes back and is reincarnated as a good guy so that Goku can fight him one-on-one, which is basically Goku's way of saying, "See you in the next life, sucker." And then he goes and he unleashes a Spirit Bomb on him, blows it up right in Buu's face, and as you could see, he didn't survive that now, did he? And then Goku, having saved the day, gives everyone a thumbs up after just murdering someone in cold blood, and as a result, he was able to ensure the future was totally safe for the next 10 years where there was no fighting and no enemies and no tournaments of power or Moros or Granolas or, Broly or insert whatever other villain's going to come next in there. None of it happened. They were all on vacation. Don't mind me, I'm just pointing to another video you could see where I talk about the canonicity of Dragon Ball Super. So that is 5 times Goku killed his enemies in the Dragon Ball story. But of course, there were a number of other times that Goku did not allow his enemies to be spared in Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, and other parts of the original manga as well. So let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments and give me some other examples. Maybe I'll even do a follow-up video at some point. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share this video out, and additionally, if you're new here, consider subscribing so you could stay up to date with all of my future videos, enable those notifications, and make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe!